it was just it was like a panic attack, a 6-week long panic attack that would stop long enough for me to be able to catch my breath. And then it would just hit me again like waves. And I don't know if you've ever had a full blown panic attack, but it's like there's weight on your chest. It's hard to breathe. Your mind is racing. Feels like, you have pain. At least this is for me. It like manifests differently in everyone. Like my chest just hurt because it felt hard to breathe. And then especially as a new mom, you start thinking like, I don't want anyone to know that I'm feeling like this. What if somebody thinks I'm not a good enough mom?
Hello and welcome to the Disrupt the Everyday podcast. We're here to help you navigate life while disrupting the status quo. Our discussions cover a number of topics relevant to everyday life. We discuss everything from relationships to entrepreneurship. We also engage in some difficult but important conversations. And now, here are your hosts, Brian and Tanya Hamilton.
Welcome to another episode of the Disrupt the Everyday podcast. Today we'll be talking about some of the challenges of managing a busy household. And our guest today is a mom of 5 and entrepreneur, Theresa Nast. Thanks for joining us today, Theresa.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome. Now, let's get started by learning a little bit more about you. Who is Theresa Nast?
Okay, well, like you said, I'm a mom of 5. I'm an entrepreneur launching a clothing brand for babies and children this fall. I come from a creative background, so it was kind of a good segue into the fashion world. And I am an advocate for postpartum mental health. It can be a deep, dark place, and I feel like the more it's talked about, the more women will feel comfortable having that conversation and helping themselves kind of get out of the rut that they're in.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. Now, before we start talking about the postpartum mental health piece, I want to actually kind of focus on something that you said there. You talked about having a creative background. So what led to you deciding to launch a clothing brand? I'm curious to how your creative background kind of brought you to where you're launching a clothing brand.
Okay, so in college, I studied studio art, painting specifically. Had my own studio for a while, and then went back to school for fashion design. And for a number of years, I actually had my own bridal and bridesmaids collection. I did everything myself, though, the patterns, the construction, the business side, all of it. And then after our 4th baby was born, I realized that I was at capacity, and because I was working when everyone went to bed, and then, newborn babies don't go to bed. So it just got to a point where I said, I need to step back from this. And then I always thought I would go back to that because I had an established business, but at the time I never felt like, okay, I want to get back into this. And in the back of my mind, I always had baby's clothes, children's clothes. I always had this vision of doing it. And so actually when our 4th baby was 2 weeks old, he ended up in the hospital, and he was fine, but it was a couple days. It was super intense. And I got an email from a bride who I was supposed to make her bridesmaids outfits. And she was in panic because she forgot to get in touch with me. And so she wanted like 12 bridesmaids outfits in a couple weeks. And that was my breaking point. I remember my husband is sitting next to me on the plastic hospital couch. And I was like, I'm done. I said this. We have so many more important things that we need to be worrying about right now. I can't take on like someone else's stress because they missed a deadline. And I said, I'm just going to walk away, and I'll return when it feels right. And it never felt right to return to that specific business. And then I got to my dream, my goal that was always there, to baby and children's clothes, which has been very exciting.
And I mean, you have, like you said, the models to, take all the pictures, and your kids will be in it. So wearing these clothes for quite a few years, because I was trying to remember. So you told us before your oldest is 12.
He's 11.
Right?
Yeah.
Or 11, sorry.
Yeah.
And your youngest is 16 months. So can you fill us in between?
Yeah. So we have 2 boys, 9, 11, and then a daughter who's 6, a little boy who's 4, and a daughter who is 16 months.
Okay.
So yeah, it's a party all the time.
And it's funny because it's not every day we run into people who have more kids than us. We do know quite a few big families. But yeah, 5 kids. That, I right now upstairs, our kids, we got a couple outside playing basketball. We have one with the dog and one chilling out, relaxing. So it's like always busy here.
Yes.
So one more, I actually cannot really imagine that, but
you'd be fine. They just go with the flow.
So my thing is, let's go back to this postpartum anxiety, because I was saying at the beginning, obviously as a mom, you hear postpartum depression, your doctor, midwife, they go over that kind of stuff with you when you're going to your, prenatal appointments even. But
Yeah.
I honestly had never heard of the postpartum anxiety. So just sort of walk us through that when that first came up, and how that looked for you.
So I have a history of anxiety. Like I've had panic attacks for as long as I can remember. So it's always been there.
Okay.
And after my first son was born, our first baby, I definitely had like a postpartum depression, anxiety, but it wasn't anything that I was like, this is terrible, I can't function. And so I think for each of our kids, it was always kind of there and I recognized it. I think because I have kind of had that in my life for a really long time, I just was able to like recognize it, do what I needed to do. But after our daughter was born last February, it was probably around maybe March or April where it was just it was like a panic attack, a 6-week long panic attack that would stop long enough for me to be able to catch my breath. And then it would just hit me again like waves. And I don't know if you've ever had a full-blown panic attack, but it's like there's weight on your chest. It's hard to breathe. Your mind is racing. Feels like, you have pain. At least this is for me. It like manifests differently in everyone. Like my chest just hurt because it felt hard to breathe. And then especially as a new mom, you start thinking like, I don't want anyone to know that I'm feeling like this. What if somebody thinks I'm not a good enough mom? Like, I go to preschool pickup, just picking up my then 3-year-old, just hoping that no one would be able to recognize that my mind was just spinning out of control. I was hoping that I'd be able to like keep it together enough just to pick him up and to get back home. When you have a newborn baby, you want to be able to like savor those newborn moments. And I was living like nap to nap, like, can she take a nap again? Is it time for her to take a nap again? Like it was a physical and mental struggle. And I just kept thinking like going to bed, thinking like when I wake up, I hope it's over. Like I hope tomorrow when I wake up that I'm not feeling this way. And, and like I said, it feels hard to reach out because you don't want to be judged and you don't want someone to think, and with me too, like people don't always have the nicest things to say when you have a big family. It's always like, oh, you've got your hands full. Oh, better you than me. And so I had that too, thinking like, well, if I start talking about this, people are going to think like, well, you shouldn't have had 5 kids. You did this to yourself, So it's all of that on top of the hormones and the everything else. And you go to the doctor's appointment and they give you the checklist to fill out. But like, I filled that thing out so many times. And I know like the boxes to check when I want to have a conversation, but I don't want them to be like, wait, like we have a situation, So it's easy to kind of dance around that. But it got to a point where I was like, it was controlling me. Like I felt like my anxiety was running my life. I felt like I couldn't do things or I couldn't go to things because I couldn't handle it. And I called one of my friends and I was she's a therapist and she's amazing. And I was like, I I can't do this anymore. So I started seeing a new therapist who was amazing. And then I started just getting back in touch with myself. And, like, to be honest, which I think I lost that many years ago, just with being busy, just caught up in the day-to-day to things. It's so easy to forget, when you have this list of things to do and this person needs this and this kid needs this and you got to be here. It's easy to just do the things and then not take any time for yourself, to be yourself, to do things that you enjoy to do. And that's when I said to my husband, I was like, listen, I have been thinking and talking about this children's clothing brand for 3 years now. I not only want to do it, I was like, I need to do this. This is really important for me to do right now. And I actually signed up for this program. It's a sustainable fashion and accessories business accelerator program, and I got accepted. And so not only did I have a newborn baby, 4 other kids, launching a business, starting this program, but I was like, I needed to do these things for myself, like to get back to myself. And having this creative project to work on, I honestly think it really helped dig me out of a very deep, dark hole. So yeah. And I want to tell this story. Like, I want other people to know you are not alone in this, because it's really lonely. It's scary. You feel like something's wrong with you. You feel like you're not a good parent. And so just talking about it, and someone else could say like, oh yeah, me too. Or someone might not even know what's happening. Just thinking like, I am a terrible mother. I don't feel like I'm excited to have time with my baby. Like, I feel sad and detached. Like, it's okay, because you can talk about it and get help for it. And I just think it's really important to have these conversations.
No, absolutely. So I guess, from the sounds of it, this whole project was a big part of you overcoming the challenges that came with the postpartum mental health.
Yeah, it was huge. Yeah, and I'm really grateful that things just seemed to line up, and I was able to just totally dive into it. My husband is a teacher, and so when I started the program, it was the summer, so I was able to really have a lot of time. He was home to take care of the kids when I could spend a chunk of time that I wouldn't get ordinarily. So truly things just, I don't say everything happens for a reason, but it was just that timeline. It just worked out. And I'm so appreciative of it. Yeah. Perfect timeline.
And, it's interesting, right? Because people say, and we'll hear it too, like, how do you have time for all this? And the thing is, when it's something you want to do, as we all know, you make time for it. And it's different if you get to choose, right? Like the hustle and bustle and, all the appointments, obviously we know that they have to happen. We know that we have to get our kids to all these things. But when it's something we choose to do, it's different. And you get that energy and it's just there. And I think a lot of times too, and speaking as a mom, that self-care that everybody talks about, we all know it's not just a pedicure. We all know it's not a massage or a bath. It's, hey, I've been wanting to start this clothing line for the last 3 years. I'm going to do it now. Like, that is also self-care. It's also making sure that you're fulfilled, however that looks, right?
Exactly.
So yeah, I think that's so important, and I think it's great.
Yeah, I think self-care is a big part of it. And I also think, that when you start talking to a therapist about, postpartum depression or anxiety, and they may refer you to a psychiatrist for medication. And there are so many avenues that you can go down. And for me, the medication part wasn't an option this time around. But instead, even the psychiatrist said, exercise, sweaty, hard exercise, not just a walk with a stroller for 2 blocks. So that was a huge part of it too. And, don't eat too much sugar. And, it's all these things that you kind of know that you should and shouldn't do. But then when it came to my mental health, these kind of changes made a huge difference too. Like exercise and, eating better and not drinking as much. Not that I was drinking a lot, but like, just not like alcohol doesn't help you when you are in that place. So, so there are options and there are different ways, and it's going to be look different for everybody too. I don't think that there's like a one, do this and then you will be fine. It's not, unfortunately.
Fair enough. Now, I'm just curious, while all of this was happening, your husband, did he notice a change, or was it just so busy that, you were able to kind of pass off as, that you're just holding it all together? What did that look like?
He's very tuned in to my moods. No, he knew, because I just kind of shut down. I'm trying to work through what's happening internally. And I would even say to him, I was like, I am struggling. I am in a really bad place. And, there's only so much he can do. And I did. I shut down, where I should have maybe talked more to him, but I also didn't know what to talk about, and then some days, when it would come time, my therapist was amazing because I could see her virtually. So I could have a newborn baby in the middle of COVID, not have to worry about going anywhere. My kids could be doing homeschool. I'm in my therapy appointment. And some days I would, I'd have to log on to start and I'd be like, oh, I have nothing to talk about. This is such a waste of time. And then she would be like, well, we're out of time. And I'm like, what? And I just talked for an hour. So clearly I had things to talk about, but
and to get off,
pulling it out.
And that's it. Because sometimes with like that busyness and that go, it is like you feel it, that there is something there that you need to get off your chest, but it's really easy to just, push it down as you keep going. Right. And then, it's like at night when it's quiet, or, during the day when you just have a moment, or you have that appointment, it's like, whew, there was actually a lot there. I just had to let it sit for a while, and now to unpack it, right?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
So fast forward to today, and like 16 months later, how are you managing everything now?
Managing. That's good. It's being managed. No, I'm in such a better place. It's just like learning new tools and new things. Like when I feel like things are getting heavy and weighed down, I love lists. I'm such a list person. So, I make to-do lists and like packing lists for going away or like whatever. And I'll make a list of, if I'm starting to feel anxious or I'm starting to feel like unbalanced, like, okay, what's going on in my life? Like, what are these triggers? Like, why is this happening? There's always something. And like I said, my husband knows, because he'll say, what's going on? I can tell you're in a space, you're shutting down. And I'll just be like, nothing, there's nothing going on. Sometimes it just happens. It's not true. When I take the time to, to think about it, I can make a list. Maybe it's 2 things, maybe it's 3 things. Like our oven broke and then something else happened. And it's just, sometimes things snowball and it just feels like, pump the brakes. This is a lot right now. And just recognizing it and just kind of working through it. Like, okay, what are the steps to take to get through this? Sometimes I just need that extra, being intentional and just bringing attention to whatever is happening and not trying to just plow through it. If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, for sure. I guess for me lately, it's, if there's a lot going on, I'm the same, right? It's like, okay, hold on. I got to start writing this down, because there's only so much that your brain can literally hold. And, that sense of overwhelm too. Like our kids are a little bit older, so 13, and we have twins that are 10, and then our 6-year-old, but like also delegating to them, right? Because I've said this before, it's important to see, especially when mom is home all the time, that we're not just here to cater to you. Like, even though we're here, there's still lots to be done, right? Behind the scenes, I say.
Totally.
So it's learning to, you know what, delegate. Hey, I need you to do A, B, and C. Why? Well, because this is going to help. This is going to help us get out the door faster, for you to get to your friends, whatever it is. Because I think it's important for them to see, like, also helping out. You guys are here, you're part of it. You guys help make this whole machine run, effectively as well, right?
Yeah, exactly. I always remind our kids, like, we're a team. We're all on the same team. And when we work together, things get done faster, more efficiently. Yeah. I mean, it's a constant reminder. It's not like someone's going to be like, I'll take the trash out.
Exactly. Oh,
yes. But yeah, my kids respond really well to their own lists. Maybe it's genetic. But if they have something in front of them that they can see and like physically check it off, like I did this, I did this, I did this. And then like on Sunday, I did all my list. I can watch a video, it's that kind of system seems to really work. We have this big chalkboard wall that we started actually when school ended, because it was one day of like, what do I do? There's nothing to do. And I was like, oh yes, there is. There's plenty to do. Let me show you. And so now we have this big chalkboard wall, and, for every day, there's time slot. It's super organized, but we were away on vacation and it threw them because we didn't have it. And I didn't realize that, especially the 3 older ones that can read, walking by it like, oh, 10 o'clock, mom has a class. Okay, well, we'll do whatever. Oh, on Friday, we're making chocolate ice cream, just, having that kind of mix and balance of stuff, stuff to look forward to, stuff that you have to do, stuff that I have to do or whatever. That has worked really well for all of us.
Yeah, the lists definitely are helpful. I like to use the Outlook calendar. I think I put pretty much everything in there, and that's that's how I remember things. Still, sometimes things I forget, and I'll let my kids jump in the pool 2 minutes before we're about to interview Theresa Nast, and then have to get them out of the pool. But for the most part, it works pretty well. But just in terms of again keeping 6 other people organized, I guess, and yourself. What are some of the other things that work well for you? Because we're always looking for things to just make that process more efficient.
Yeah. And some of it I think is simple stuff, like during the school year, lunch is packed, backpacks packed, clothes out for the morning. The younger kids have in their closets, that's like a IKEA shoe organizer, but it's not even shoes. It's like sweaters. It must be, because the compartments are big and there's 5 of them. So on Sunday, say, pick your outfits for the week. Boom, 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 boom. So there's 5 outfits. I know that they have clothes for the week. Done. A couple of my kids sleep in their clothes for the next day. It's just easier for them in the morning. It's one less thing to think about it. And I'm like, whatever works, dudes. If you want to roll out of bed and get to it, please. If I have to nag you about one less thing, I love it.
Oh man, that's hilarious.
Yeah, so we just try to prepare as much as we can, because school mornings, it's like, it's insane. It's totally insane. And then on the weekends, we try to at least have a very loose plan for meals, or else we all end up eating a box of mac and cheese. Which happens anyway, but if we can like grill a lot of chicken and, like we're going to do this, and then we're going to make tacos, and then we'll put it in pasta, and just like have, a very loose plan of what we're going to do. And I don't know if all your kids eat the same dinner, but my house doesn't. And I said, I cannot make 5 dinners. If you don't want to eat the dinner that we make, you get yourself yogurt. My 4-year-old loves to make yogurt parfaits. So he's like a little scientist, putting the yogurt and then the fruit and then the granola. And I'm like, fine, that's totally fine. So we just decided, if you're not into what we're making, then that's okay. You can have a bowl of cereal. You can microwave some chicken nuggets. You do you at that point. Because it got crazy.
Oh goodness, I can imagine. Like, our youngest is going through this weird phase right now too, where he's picking at dinner, everybody else, thank goodness, eats whatever I make. But yeah, that's been the thing, because what's happening is if he doesn't eat then, like right at bedtime and it's time to go brush his teeth, right? I'm starving, I'm hungry, I haven't eaten all day. So it's obviously not cooking another meal for you. Go, we're the same. Go grab something else quick, something from the fridge, and eat it. Because yeah, you start doing that, oh my goodness, yeah, you've created.
And with him too, especially, I've tried putting him to bed when he says he's hungry, and he'll wake up in the middle of the night and I go crying and I go check and I was like, I'm hungry. So it's like, okay.
Oh,
so
no,
I learned he can't. Yeah. He's hungry, or even if he's just thirsty, like, well, we don't want you to pee the bed. So no, you don't need anything to drink. He's woken up in the middle of the night. I'm thirsty. So yeah, just
yeah. My 6-year-old daughter does the same thing. She goes to bed with a water bottle. And if she doesn't have it, she will wake up yelling, I need my water bottle. I'm like, how do you drink water all night long? I don't know. But she started too. So we started this, you get a bedtime snack. Like, go get a fistful of goldfish, get a couple of pretzels, because we know it's coming as soon as she's upstairs. And then our 4-year-old started it too, because he's like, she gets a snack. I am into this.
Yes.
So we're like, okay, you two, just get a quick snack. And then we don't want to hear you're too hungry to go to bed. So same situation.
Oh, the joys.
Now, for yourself or anyone else in the family, are there any other routines that anybody has that are kind of particularly helpful for them?
Any other routines?
Like, I'll say for myself, I'm really regimented, and I find if anybody comes and moves my stuff around, like, it will throw off my whole day. Like, if I just can't find something because I have things set out a certain way, so that can be challenging. But yeah, and I'm trying to think, like, do our kids have anything that?
They pretty much know the deal in regards to like getting up and moving and stuff. They are at that age now where, other than the youngest, like everybody prepares their own breakfast, which is great and a blessing. But then also at the same time, it's like we have one doing omelets, one cereal, and one whatever. So then the kitchen just gets really hectic, right? And I mean, I like that, and I've really created that, but I stand back sometimes and I'm like, oh, it'd be amazing if like I just made everybody the same thing, or at lunchtime, everybody eats the same thing, right? But it's one of those, you got to take what you get, because hey, they're preparing their own food, and that's what I've always wanted, and that's what I taught them. It just gets really hectic.
No, I hear you. Breakfast is the same way in our house. We tried for a little while to have like this calendar of different things. And then it's always like, well, I don't want that today. I don't want waffles. I want cereal. And so it became the same thing. Yeah. Just eat something. I just want them to eat something before they're off for the day, And like, some of my kids don't love breakfast. So someone will have a peanut butter sandwich or a turkey sandwich, so it's fine, just as long as you have some sort of meal in your body. I'm for it.
So now, getting the kids out the door, I mean, obviously we're in summer mode now. So you could talk about summer and school. How do you as a mom balance that, the mom work? And I know I always say balance, and like me included, say like it's like no balance, but how do you make it work? Let's put it that way.
So during the school year, my 3 oldest are out the door at 7:30. We are so lucky that the bus stop is our front door. Like, they open the gate and they're on the bus, and it's amazing. So, and then I drive our 4-year-old to preschool. He'll have another year of preschool. And so then everyone's gone for the day, and I'm home with the baby. She used to nap in the morning. No, she doesn't.
So one nap a day.
This fall will be a different story, which is fine. But my husband is home in the morning to help facilitate all of this. For a really long time, he wasn't. And so I was just, doing preschool drop off. Like, I look like a crazy person. I'm not sure that part has changed, but but at least I have like a minute to get the baby dressed and feed her and ready to go. And then yeah, I'm home with her all day. And then it's another mad dash to go pick up half day preschool, and then everyone's home on the bus. Yeah. And that's it. And then it feels like crazy chaos for another couple hours. And then we do it again.
And again and again and again.
And again and again. I mean, but in that, it's really fun to see how everybody starts taking on more responsibility for themselves. You know, like my daughter started kindergarten last year, and I was still helping her pack her lunch. And then by the end of the year, she knew, not that she was totally independent in doing it, because she would pack pita chips and that's it. But just being able to like have more of a say in it, like this takes me too long to eat. This is easier for me to eat at snack, and just for them to have more awareness of what works better for them. Even like my kids have the compartmentalized little lunch tins, and they cannot pack their lunches without them now. Okay. They just know, like, my main part goes here, and then I can have a snack, and then I can have fruit, and then I can have like whatever. And so that has been huge in just helping them put their own meals together. Because otherwise when they're not clean, or like when I didn't run the dishwasher, they're just like, well, what do I do? Right. I don't actually know. What do I pack for lunch? Like the same thing, just not in the tin. But they just can't wrap their minds around it. So that's actually been really helpful. And then, yeah, they just take on more responsibility and get more independent, because they realize it's easier than waiting for me to do all the things. Mm-hmm. You know, when the mood strikes, they're still happy to sit and wait. But
yeah. And then so for you, and you're creating and working on your business, is that like nap time and then once the kids go to bed type situation? Or
it is. Yeah. It is. You know, and sometimes like if my kids are playing independently, because when I first started this, like before, when I was working, like I said, I'd work when everybody was in bed, and so they weren't really tuned into what I was doing. But with what I'm doing now, I just need more time. And so if people are playing independently, I will open my computer and I will like work for half an hour. But when I first started, I felt like, oh, I shouldn't do that. Like I should be totally present all the time. You know what? That's not really realistic. And I want my kids to see what I'm working and what I'm building and what I'm doing. And they're interested in it. You know, they want to know, like, what do you mean you're emailing a factory? What happens in the factory? Where's the factory? You know, and they're asking all these questions, which is great. And they're interested. And I don't feel bad about like responding to 2 emails if everybody is doing something. So yeah, I fit it in where I can.
Yeah, I think that's many of us, that's for sure. And it's, you know, letting the kids know, I'm not just playing on my phone. Like I can't help you right now because I'm sending this email. And you know what? Like I have a hard time if I put it down and then I go to help them. I'm like, I'll forget. So I've learned to just say, you know what? Unless if it's dire, I gotta finish doing A, B, and C, and then I will come and assist you, or you can go and do it yourself. Because yeah, it's hard, right? Like you get started on something and then that stop and go, that actually ends up taking more time. And I know that, you know, lots of research behind that and everything, right? So it's just easier for me to just let me get this one done, and then I can move on to the next.
It's much easier and it's much more productive. And I just said to my husband today, I said, you know, tomorrow I need like a 2-hour chunk. I have a lot of work to do, but not like quick things. I need to be able to sit down and focus and concentrate on this and get it done. And I'm really lucky that I have that time. I'm trying to like take all this time in the next couple of weeks before he starts having to wrap his head around like ordering stuff for school and getting back into that schedule too. So, but yeah, having those long chunks of time is so much more productive than just having the quick little blips. But, you know, like I said, I'll take what I can get for right now.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
So, okay. Well, yeah, it sounds like you do a bit of time blocking in there as well. Like whether it's planned time blocking or not, like you're at least getting those times where you're dedicated to the, you know, building the business.
Yeah, and that's been really huge. Actually, I have my my planner for this year. It's called a passion planner. I'm still a very pen and paper person, pencil paper, and it's time blocked, and it has been so helpful not only in organizing but just making me more realistic about what I can accomplish in a day. Instead of having this ridiculous list and then at the end of the day just being like, oh my gosh, I got nothing done, or I only got 2 things done. I cannot even believe myself. And then now I'm able to look at the day. Okay, well, I only have this amount of time, so let's be realistic about what I'm trying to accomplish, and then not beat myself up at the end of the day when I sent 2 emails and didn't get to rework 3 patterns or something, completely ridiculous. So that's been really helpful too.
Yeah, no, that's actually a great shout out, because I tried using the passion planner once. I guess I'm not the creative type because it didn't do well for me. I remember I had got one for myself. I got one actually for your mom, and she loved it. Like she had her different colored pens and everything that she was using. I was 3 days, and then I don't even know what happened to it after that. It's okay. But yeah, I guess the lesson there is you got to find what works for you. But if you're creative,
exactly.
Look, just Google Passion Planner. It's a pretty cool tool. It
is. Yeah, I'm a big fan.
Now, let's talk a little bit more about your business. So the one thing that you mentioned when you mentioned the program that you were taking, and it was focused on sustainable clothing.
Yes. Yeah. So it's called Factory 45, and it's what I would call a business accelerator course. And I wouldn't be at the point where I am if I wasn't in the program. It breaks everything down and basically says step by step, these are the tasks that you need to accomplish, in this order, and then I first started, I was like, oh, I wouldn't do it in this order. Hi, that's why I have been 3 years and gotten nowhere. Why am I challenging this? Just do it, right? And it's been amazing. And you get matched with a mentor. And my mentor's strengths are my weaknesses, like marketing, social media. She's amazing. So, all of the things have just lined up, and it's been really, really helpful. And so when I started, I didn't want to just start, another clothing company. When my babies were born, I was very aware of the kind of fabrics that I would buy, how it felt, what it's made out of. And so I knew that I wanted to use organic fabrics. And then doing the research more, there are some organic fabrics, but then they're dyed conventionally, which it's kind of like buying an organic mattress and then just putting a standard sheet over it and mattress cover. You're hiding all of the good stuff. And so I have explored a lot, natural plant-based dyes. But for this first collection, I'm going to be doing mostly undyed fabric, organic cotton, which is great because you can put it with all of the other things you already own. So it's not like polka dots or something. Right. It's all very neutral, and it's just going to be quality, built to last, rough and tumble kids. My kids tear through clothes, especially the little ones. They cannot hand down pants. I have all these sweatshirts stored away, but I'm like, where's the pants? Oh yeah, they cut them off. I cut them off for shorts. Yeah. Because there's no knees left, by the kind of endish of the winter. I'm always like, no, I'll just sew it up. You don't need new pants. We can make it. I'm not buying new sweatpants in March. And then I just cut them off for shorts. So, another goal was to make clothing that is going to last, that you can pass it down to siblings, hand it over to cousins, to your friends, to your neighbors, and just not have this this throwaway clothing, this fast fashion that everyone is so accustomed to buying, because it's available and it's inexpensive and it feels easy, but then your kids blow through it and you have to buy it again. And so my goal was to use high quality fabrics, create less waste, also to have this clothing made in an ethical factory. So I'm using a factory in the Bronx in New York, which is very close to me, which I love that I can go there in person and see what's happening, and meet the people making the clothes. That was important to me too, because coming from my other business where I was making everything, it may have also been like a control thing. But it just felt really good to know, like, okay, these are the people. This is where this is happening, and just having a hand in everything, and just knowing that their working conditions are good. I know that they get vacations. I know they don't work on holidays. Just feeling good about that part of it too is super important to me.
No, I think that's great because, as business owners, and depending on what people do, if you get to that point where, you've hired on even employees and stuff like that, and, you're sending them out to do work, you want to know that they're representing your business, right? And so I think that's really neat that you're able to go there and see what's going on and like see how it's made and all that kind of stuff. So, you can still feel comfortable when it goes out knowing that it's done the exact way you want it. So that's pretty
yes neat. Yeah, that was a huge part for me too.
Awesome. Now, so we talked about the clothing line. How can people find your business?
So I have a website. So my business is called West Rock Apparel Co. My website is westrocapparel.com. You can sign up for my email list. We will officially be launching this fall, either September or October. The model we're using to launch, I say we, I mean I. It's
all
just
you.
Me. It will be a pre-sale, so that way we're also not producing all of this clothing that could just end up sitting. I want to know that everything made has a home to go to, and it's not going to be wasted. It's we're not going to be left with just stuff sitting around. That was another part too, again, to create less waste and just be really mindful about that. So the pre-orders hopefully will open September or October, and I'm super excited.
That is really exciting, just to see your baby, your sixth baby.
My sixth baby. Exactly.
Come. And it's also interesting because I have been seeing that with just different lines and clothing, what have you, right? And I'm like, it's a smart way to do it where it's either pre-sale or even launching like one product at a time. And because I get it, you don't want to have everything out there and it's or it's also nice to see what are people interested in, what's selling, what's that hot item. And this way it takes some, maybe that anxiety and that stress off of, how much do I make, what do I need to have ready? So I also like that part of the business.
Thank you. And I think it'll be a good test too, like you said, what's going to sell? Do people want this in a color? Like, do I further investigate, the different methods of dyeing fabric? Everything is kind of an experiment, right? You don't know until you try it. So I've also had to change that mindset too, where just done is better than perfect, right? You just got to do it and put it out there, put yourself out there, and you'll find out.
Yeah, exactly. We are strong believers in that.
I kind of want to just circle back to one thing. Just because there's probably a lot of moms out there who are, who are having struggles. Maybe maybe they're first time moms and everything is so overwhelming. Just if you could put yourself in your shoes, or even I'll use this analogy because I always like to use this one. But if you could go back in time, and present day Theresa, visiting Theresa who is in the early stages of postpartum anxiety, what would you share with her?
Just reach out sooner. You're worth it. Reach out, get the help you need, because you don't have to live like that. Nobody has to live like that. It's normal, but you don't have to be in that place. And if you reach out to your doctor and you're referred to a therapist and you don't like them, you don't click, I've been there. Move on to the next one. Like you should, if you go to your doctor or your midwife, they should have a list of people to refer you to. Find someone who you feel comfortable talking to. And it's okay if the first 1, 2, 3 people you have a phone call or you meet them and you're like, no, I've been there too. And that's okay, because you'll find someone, and it's really, really important. So I would just say, reach out. You're worth it. You're important. This is an amazing time. And it's also a really, really hard time. So find the support.
Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing that. Now, so we have westrockaparel.com. What are the best ways to connect with you for everyone who's been listening to this conversation and would like to learn more about you or your business?
Yeah, great. So my website, you can sign up for my email and, be the first to know when we launch and get behind the scenes updates, see our samples. I'm also on Instagram at West Rock Apparel Co, where I try to post all sorts of things. You'll catch glimpses of my family. We were just on vacation. I'm kind of coming back from a vacation mindset. When we packed the car, I packed all this work to do. I was like, this is great. I'm going to get so much work done.
Yeah, no.
I didn't open one thing. I had this, and I put it on Instagram too. Like I had my patterns all rolled up to like alter them and fix a couple things. And going down there, I was like, yes, here's the picture. I'm bringing my work. Going to get so much done. Posted the same picture coming home of the same work, everything all wrapped up exactly like it was. I was like, yeah, not productive, but that's okay. It was a good vacation. It was good to step away.
Really, there's no point. I've given up on that one.
Yeah, I had really high hopes.
Yeah, I still do it with the good intentions as well, and I don't get through nearly as much as I'd like to.
Yeah, even my husband said, he's like, I knew you weren't going to do anything, but I didn't want to like crush your spirit.
Yeah, I didn't want to, discourage you from, getting everything done, but it's just the reality. It's,
and that's okay.
Yeah, exactly. Oh man, Theresa, this was a really great conversation. And, mom to mom, I just, thank you for being vulnerable enough to share. I think this is really great information, and, the ears that are meant to hear it will hear it. And we wish you all the best in your launch in September.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It's been so nice to chat tonight.
Likewise. And for everyone who's watched or listened to this, thank you for letting us disrupt your everyday.
Thanks for listening to the Disrupt the Everyday podcast. For more ways to listen, connect with us on social media. To be a guest or to partner with us, check out our link tree at Disrupt the Everyday. Join us next time for more ways to disrupt the everyday.